Want to be good morning and welcome to the Ohio Children Trust Fund's first April Child Abuse Prevention Month webinar. My name is Nicole Silliman and I'm the Executive Director for the Trust Fund. I'm excited to be here with all of you today and would like to express my appreciation that you've taken the time to join us. I want to remind everyone that we will be hosting weekly presentations each Wednesday in April at 11 a.m., highlighting various programs throughout the month. If you are interested in joining these presentations, please visit our website at octf.ohio.gov, and the link will also be provided in the chat. This month, we are once again promoting the Ensure They Shine campaign. I hope that you saw this campaign last year. We launched it last year, and we are again excited that we're going to be continuing Ensure They Shine. And the Ensure They Shine campaign really highlights that by helping children and providing them with positive reinforcement and support, we all can help ensure their future is bright. We encourage you all to join us in educating, engaging, and encouraging the best for our children and youth as we ensure they shine throughout April and year-round. Before we start today's presentation, I also want to review just some quick housekeeping items. We kindly ask that you remain muted throughout the presentation. We will have time towards the end for questions, so please feel free to enter those in the chat. If it's a question that we can't address today or there's not enough time, we will make sure that we follow up after today's webinar. Also, you probably saw when you logged on, this presentation is going to be recorded and it will be uploaded onto our website, and that way you can see something if you want to review it again, or we know that there's some folks who might not have been able to attend, and so they'll be able to watch the webinar on our website. If you need a certificate of attendance, please indicate so via the chat with your full name and email address where the certificate can be sent. And then please allow us just a week or two, depending on the number of requests that we receive, to provide those certificates back to you. So now I want to turn this over to our partners, but first I want to introduce our presenters today. So we have Melissa Palmer, who is one of our partners here at the Department of Children and Youth. And then we are joined with three of our parent and youth ambassadors, Ryan Johnson, Marcy Jett, and Sarah Puskas. And the parent and youth ambassadors, they provide parents and caregivers with assistance in navigating and accessing state and local services, resources, and benefits. And we are excited to have all of our presenters with us here today, sharing all of their knowledge and really talking about the amazing work that they are providing to families throughout the state. So with that, I will turn it over to Melissa to begin. Thank you all.
Well, thank you, Nicole, and good morning, everyone. As Nicole said, I am Melissa Palmer, and I'm a project manager here at DCY involved in peer parent programs. And I'm super jazzed to be here kicking off the Ohio Children's Trust Fund's Child Abuse Prevention Month webinar series. Today, my colleagues and I will be sharing our journey over the past year in developing and implementing the work of our statewide parent and ambassador team. We will share with you the basic foundation and tenets of our parent youth ambassador work. We will also share about our engagement efforts, our impact on community, as well as highlight our work with parent cafes. We will round out our time together with a few success stories, because who doesn't love to hear about wins, big and small? But first, let's meet the real people behind the work of helping families find their shine. Ambassador team, I invite you now to introduce yourselves.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us. I'm Marcy Jett. And so I'm sorry, I'm using my cell phone. I am a parent youth ambassador in the Lima, Ohio area and surrounding area. I have 3 children. My oldest is at Ohio State living in the dorms. He's a freshman, Ethan. And then I have a 10-year-old and 7-year-old daughter at home with me. I'm happy to be here. I'll pass it to, I believe, Sarah.
Yeah, so hello everybody. Happy to be here. My name is Sarah Puskas, and I'm a Parent News Ambassador for Child Care Resource Center. And so I'm in Lorain, Ohio. I was born and raised here. I've got a couple kiddos myself, a 4-year-old named Maddox, a 1.5-year-old named Juniper, and then I've got 2 bonus boys, Bryson and Tal, of my recent fiance. And then we'll kick it off to Ryan.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. Ryan Johnson. I am Parent and Youth Ambassador with CCRNR, which is the Child Care Referral Service, 4C in the Miami Valley area, Dayton, Ohio. Born and raised. I am the mother of a lovely 9-year-old spark of life. Her name is Rowan. She's also my reason for my passion in this field. She was born with bilateral cleft lip and palate, and we have already gone through 5 surgeries on her journey for the most optimal life that she can have. And we are approaching her orthodontic journey, which will be a series of different surgeries. But with this particular situation, it's an ongoing process, and we just are thankful for her healing and the way that she shines through everything.
Oh, thank you, ladies. Already you can see what a beautiful team we have just with our 3 ambassadors, but more to come. First things first, I'm going to set the stage with a little background detail, and the work we are about to share with you was brought to life through a series of family listening sessions that took place in the fall of 2023. DCY's director, Director Kara Wente, and her leadership team met with families from all around the state to hear what families were experiencing in their communities, to hear about programs and services, and to hear what a new state agency should be thinking about to better engage with families. And a number of themes came out of those listening sessions, but the message that bubbled up to the surface and was woven throughout all those sessions was the need for real-time, reliable support. Families expressed frustration around getting questions answered and being provided with good information to secure needed services and supports. Families expressed systems are hard to navigate, and being passed from place to place or being told they cannot be helped is disheartening and discouraging. And I think we can all relate to that. And one person said it best. They said, do not create false hope for families through these listening sessions. It should not take 5 years for things to change. Everyone is drowning now, and we really need a system that comes in, helps those drowning now. Do not jump straight to babies without addressing the gaps that have been created by the current system. Well, listen, message was received. Rather than sit back and let the dust settle as a new agency comes to life and seeks to find its way, which could quite honestly take 5 years, the idea to implement a statewide ambassador team was born. Thou shalt go forth and build up this initiative now. And so work to bring this ambassador team concept to life began in the late fall and winter of 2023. The newly formed DCY set out to begin mapping out ambassador roles, responsibilities, and began the work of finding the right people to sit in the seat of ambassador supporting families. This statewide team is a direct response to what families were saying. There's a great deal of power in this idea of people being heard and seeing what they ask for being put into action. Over the past year and some change, DCY has been on a mission to find the real people to help real people shine. Finding the right people that have navigated Ohio's various social systems, people that are relatable, and people that can engage and meet a person where they are, this matters in this work. Social workers are great, says this social worker. But as a social worker, I can't always walk alongside another person in the same way as someone with similar lived experience or firsthand knowledge. Our Parent Youth Ambassador team is a beautiful blend of lived experiences that make them shine like the stars in the night sky. If you're lucky, you will find one. Ohio is lucky to have 19 such stars that bring their shine to help others shine. The goal is to have 24 Parent Youth Ambassadors, 2 in each of our service delivery areas. Parent Youth Ambassadors exist across the state in 12 service delivery areas, which house Ohio's child care resource and referral agencies. As members of their community, Parent Youth Ambassadors have a good pulse or gauge of what is going on in their communities and know what localized supports are accessible. So I want to share this visual with you. I think it's a nice list that showcases Ohio's 12 child care resource referral agencies, which we often refer to as CCR&Rs. and the service delivery areas, which we often refer to as SDAs. This chart lists the Child Care Resource and Referral Agency on the left-hand side and the counties within the service delivery area on the right-hand side. So as an example, if you look at the top, you can see that the YWCA in Toledo, which is the Child Care Resource and Referral Agency, supports Service Delivery Area 1, which is made up of the following counties: Defiance, Fulton, Henry, Lucas, Ottawa, Paulding, and Williams and Wood counties. The work of the Parent and Youth Ambassadors is a partnership between DCY and the Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies. The addition of the Parent and Youth Ambassadors is an enhancement to what I like to call a continuum of support that these Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies provide to children and families. These Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies have been trusted partners with ODJFS, now DCY, in offering support to their communities in the child care space for decades. Back in 2021, Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies began working at the request of ODJFS, now DCY, to recruit and support foster and adoptive parents and kinship caregivers. DCY is now adding into that continuum of support Parent and Youth Ambassadors, who can offer support around any need, really making Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies a beacon of support in their communities. Now I want you to take a look at this slide. This is where the real magic is. Finding the right people to sit in these seats as ambassadors is important. It matters. It is their firsthand experience navigating systems that sets them apart and makes them shine. Our Parent and Youth Ambassador team is a mix of life experiences. What is innately unique about the peer support movement and the work of our Parent and Youth Ambassadors is the value of these real life experiences. Many of us sitting in this session today have had similar life experiences, but that's not typically looked at as an asset in a professional landscape. The combined value of personal and professional experiences is what makes the work of the Parent Youth Ambassador and others in the peer support space so impactful. These real life experiences are being accepted and valued in the workplace to help bring the shine to the work of helping others find their shine. Essentially, Parent Youth Ambassadors are saying, let me help you find your way. And now I want to introduce you to your statewide Parent Ambassador team. These are moms and dads and young adults coming together as a collective to share their knowledge, strength, hope, and inspiration. Rich experiences and rich perspectives allow for cross-collaboration on a statewide level. I believe that this is a team that gets out of bed in the morning to greet the day with fresh eyes, fresh hearts, and fresh minds to do what's right for kids and what's right for families. As a side note, this photo was taken on March 18th of this year. This was the first time the team met in person. And what a day it was. There was such excitement and such energy in the room all day. This is a team that genuinely feels connected and feels supported and valued by their child care resource referral agencies, by each other, and by DCY. And I think that's a hashtag winning kind of moment. Parent and Youth Ambassadors are offering a very high level of coordination of support. What's great about this free support available to youth and families in Ohio is that anyone can make a request for support for themselves or on behalf of someone. Requests for support can come in through DCY as well as the Child Care Resource and Referral Agency. And we get requests from moms and dads and young adults, resource parents, which may be foster parents, adoptive parents, or kinship caregivers, community providers, service providers. Most commonly, we see those requests that are being made by individuals needing the support. And we've seen requests come in from children's services workers, DD workers, Family and Children First Council. We've even seen unique requests come in from people like Boy Scout troop leaders who are looking for supports for some of their scouts. These are just some examples of various community and service providers that have reached into a Parent Youth Ambassador for support. And as you can imagine, requests for support can vary and will require the Parent Youth Ambassadors to engage in some research as an ambassador's personal and professional experience or knowledge base is going to vary. Some requests are simple, like where can I get a breast pump? And some requests are more complex, like we need help finding a safe living situation for our autistic teen. In supporting an individual's request and to allow for time to engage in needed research, ambassadors arrange a time for follow-up with the individual at an agreed upon time and method. The Parent Youth Ambassador is committed to following through, understanding that sometimes the individual or family may not. Life is moving at the speed of life. Parent Youth Ambassadors will still make an effort to follow up with a family by phone, text, or an email. Even when follow-up contact has been made, Parent Youth Ambassadors still will follow up to assure needs have been met, but also to gauge the gaps that exist maybe in services. Because one thing that is unique to the work of the Parent Youth Ambassadors is that of serving as a mouthpiece for families by identifying and reporting gaps found in communities to DCY. They are reporting back to DCY issues, gaps, and challenges that families are facing in their communities. A common question we get is, what kinds of requests do you receive? And the team gets a lot of varying requests for support, as you can imagine, some of which you will hear in more detail later on. Common requests for support that we've received over time really revolve a lot around housing, as you can imagine, financial assistance, making sure that we can keep the lights on, keep the heat on, a lot of requests around childcare, requests to support kinship families, lots of requests supporting educational concerns or issues navigating the school systems. But we really do see a lot of things, as you can see on this slide, the highlighted housing, childcare, and financial assistance that does come up time and time again with our ambassador team on a statewide level. I do think it's also important to note that in our Parent Youth Ambassador work, we are natural connectors. We connect individuals and families with support and services. We also do more. This is an exciting time as the peer support space continues to grow and find acceptance at the state and national level. We have peer parents, family peer mentors, parent advocates, parent mentors, family support specialists, parent partners, youth supporters, peer supporters, and various navigators. While all of this is fantastic, having all of these different supports can lead to confusion. That's why it's important that as a statewide team, Parent Youth Ambassadors are working to create peer connections with these other peer supporters that exist around the state to help build a pipeline of support, as well as help eliminate confusion. Our Parent Youth Ambassadors are unique from many of their fellow peers in that they do not have a specific population that they're supporting. Our team can support any request, but knowing about these other peer supports that exist to support a specific population allows for intentionality and care in making sure needs are addressed by the right people at the right time. For your reference, the Parent Youth Ambassador team has been working to create connections with fellow peer supporters. To highlight a few, the team has been intentional in connecting with our trust fund partners, with our 8 regional prevention councils, our Family and Children First councils, and the family support specialists that extend from there, our Ohio Equity Initiative neighborhood navigators, our Department of Health parent consultant friends, as well as our friends, our family support specialists with OCALI, which is the Ohio Center for Autism and Low Incidence. And one thing I really want to highlight here is the Parent Youth Ambassador Huddle, which I think is extremely important, that our Parent Youth Ambassador team, they connect internally on a statewide level. So I want to take a moment just to mention that. Our team meets several times a week for the purpose of supporting each other around requests for support and building a statewide network of support. Parent Youth Ambassadors do not exist in a bubble solely in their pocket of the state. They are a statewide team that supports one another so that children and families are supported. With all that said, I think it's also important to talk about what Parent Youth Ambassadors don't do. Their roles and responsibilities do differ from other peer supports, and knowing what they don't do can be helpful. Parent Youth Ambassadors are not case managers or caseworkers. They are only offering high-level coordination of support. Parent Youth Ambassadors don't bill Medicaid. They're not providing clinical support, counseling, or legal advice. They're not transporting individuals. They're not conducting home visits. They're not attending appointments with children and families, and they're not going to meetings with children and families. Parent Youth Ambassadors do not do things to a family or for a family. They work to empower an individual to do for themselves. And I often hear Sarah, one of our Parent Youth Ambassadors, is here with us today, say, we teach a person to fish. So you may be wondering, how do I connect with a Parent Youth Ambassador? How can I make a request for support? Well, there are several mechanisms in place for you to reach into a Parent Youth Ambassador or someone that you may know to reach into a Parent Youth Ambassador. You can go through the DCY Family and Customer Support Call Center with our kids line, which you can see here on the screen. We also have 2 email boxes here at DCY where we can easily get you in touch with a Parent Youth Ambassador. But what I highly recommend is that one reaches directly into the Child Care Resource and Referral Agency, that specific agency that supports a specific area within the state, to make direct contact with the Parent Youth Ambassador. That's the intent behind this, is to have that direct line of communication with that peer supporter, that parent youth ambassador. I would also encourage that if you have events that are coming up or in-person opportunities to invite your parent youth ambassador in your specific area to attend, it's a great opportunity to network and for parent youth ambassadors to make those connections with families and additional supports in their community. And you may be wondering about numbers, because people always wonder about numbers. And so here's just a nice little snapshot that kind of demonstrates for you kind of where we stand today in terms of the numbers of requests for support that we're receiving. So a little bit of background. We started taking requests for support while we were building this team here at DCY in April of 2024. So I had about 3 ambassadors here with me at DCY at that time, and we were slowly building this team over the course of 2024. So over the time of April to December of 2024, as we're building this team, we had 113 requests total that came in. And that seems okay, right? That seems all right. But what I want to draw your attention to is January of 2025. We've built the team up to 20 parent youth ambassadors at this point, and we had a total of 69 requests for support that came in 1 month. That is pretty impressive. I think that deserves a shout out. So shout out to the ambassador team. That's pretty amazing. One thing I want to point out here that you can't see, just for context, in the time of 2024, I'm just going to call it Action for Children, which is in Service Delivery Area 9. That's the Central Ohio region. They received a total of 17 requests for support in 2024 total. In January of 2025, they had 14 requests for support. So that demonstrates, I think that's a clear demonstration of how ambassadors are getting out there in the community, networking, making their presence known, and we're seeing it come through in the types of requests that we're receiving in our ambassadors teams. And you can see here with the data that February 2025, we had 88 requests. So those numbers continue to rise. I don't have the data yet for March. It's coming to me soon, but I think it's pretty impressive. And I'm very proud to be showcasing this and sharing this moment with my ambassadors, shouting it out to the world. And so let's take a moment here. We are going to take a pause here to see if we have any questions that might be in the chat that maybe we want to answer. I see a lot of requests for certificates because that's important. And
I don't believe you have any questions.
I don't see any questions either. So very well then. Since that's the case, let's keep it moving, friends. And so now I'm going to be passing the baton over to my colleagues, Marcy, Sarah, and Ryan, today with me as our state ambassador team. And please tune in as they share with you about how they're engaging with the community, their impact on their work with the families, the power of parent cafes, and they're also going to round it out with sharing some signs of success from the statewide team. And so I'd like to welcome Marcy Jett as she shares about ambassadors and community engagement.
Thanks, Melissa. Community outreach and engagement is essential to parent and youth ambassadors, or as we like to say, PYAs. It's a mouthful saying parent and youth ambassador a lot. So if you hear me say PYA, I'm talking about us. For us to build strong and resilient communities and learn resources that we can share with community members. We're also fostering collaboration and addressing shared challenges between the other agencies in our community. PYAs use our outreach efforts to help get the word out that we exist and can be a resource for families and community members. One of the goals in doing outreach is to have community members reach out to ambassadors for support when they need assistance. We also hope that other agencies will send their clients to us for support if they're not sure how to help them or if they need help getting their clients to resources. PYAs attend FCFC meetings, community partner meetings. We join coalitions, set up tables at community events and fairs. We attend parent groups and many more. Many times a parent youth ambassador will do a presentation about our role at an agency and pass on our contact information for them to give to families or individuals so that they can request our support. We may take a tour of a community agency and then exchange info about their role as well to get a better understanding of how they operate and how we can work together in the future. Not only are we trying to spread the word about ambassadors, but we're really trying to build our own network of support and collaboration and enhance the pipeline of support. Developing relationships and building bridges with community agencies is so beneficial to us, so that if needed, we can do a warm handoff with the family we're helping. It truly benefits us to have a direct contact at agencies that we can reach out to for questions, updates, or just to call them and say, I have a family here, I'm sending them to you for XYZ. Is that available? It really helps us cut out the red tape for families. If they don't have support that they can offer, we can kind of figure that out before we give that resource to a family. In addition to learning and building relationships with local resources, the PYAs also utilize state support and contacts. We lean into our partners at the Department of Children and Youth to meet with many of their departments to build our knowledge base at that higher level so that we can better serve our communities. There could also be an instance where we have to reach up to the state if we're not getting traction while helping a family that has requested our support. As Melissa stated, we also relay any gaps we see or resources that are lacking in our areas up to the state level so that the state is better informed of what is or is not working in our SDA, our service delivery area. The parent youth ambassadors are also responsible for partnering with DCY to put on two listening sessions per year. This is another outreach and engagement activity where we hear directly from the parents and community members about what their needs are and what they think is working or not working in their community. It's really about parent voice, and it showcases the parent voice, and also it leads parent voice up to the state. You'll hear more about support groups and parent cafes when Sarah speaks, but I wanted to share that outreach and network building does lead to collaboration between agencies. One personal example I can give of how my outreach has led to collaboration. I was at an early childhood coalition that I'm part of. I was speaking about the need for me to either choose to do parent cafes or choose to do a support group. I was going to choose a support group. Allen County Developmental Disabilities Early Intervention and Help Me Grow heard me speaking about the need for me to do support group, and they asked me to stay after the meeting, and they were wondering if I'd be willing to use my support group a support group that was geared towards parents of children aged 0 to 3. We were going to do special needs children, but we decided to do all abilities. So there's a gap in most of my counties for that area, for the 0 to 3-year-old child area. So I lead and run the group, but they're available for topic speaking on speech, physical therapy, developmental delays. And then they send a few of their girls that work at Allen County DD to come assist me every month, and it's called Family Play and Parent Support Group. That's my support group, and it's going really well. It's been well received and well attended. And actually, I'm starting having one for Haitian families, and we'll have an interpreter. And then 2 of my counties have asked me to do that same support group in their county. So it just shows how working with other agencies really helps pass the word on, and that people are really wanting to work together in the community, and that there's more than one way to use a parent youth ambassador. It doesn't always have to be a request. It can be for other things and outreach things too. Lastly, I would just suggest that anyone that's listening, reach out to your local parent youth ambassador. Melissa will probably send flyers out with all the counties in the state on it, so you can see which R&R is in your area, and then call that R&R and ask for the parent youth ambassador, or better yet, just get their direct email from Melissa. If you haven't spoken yourself, let them know who you are, and the ambassador will be more than happy to make that connection and to open the line of communication with you. That's my spiel on outreach. Thanks for having us today. I'll pass it over to Ryan. She's going to talk about the impact our community engagement has on families.
Hello again, everyone. And once again, for those who didn't hear my introduction, happy Wednesday. Yes, so as Marcy said, you guys see that we are fully engaged in our communities. We are doing the outreach, we are at the programs, we are making the connections. And so at the end of the day, we kind of wonder, what does that look like? What's that impact look like? And what exactly is the positive impact that we're having on our community, and how do we measure it? Well, by definition, that refers to the beneficial effects something has on the social, economic, and environmental aspects of a community. And there are many methods used to measure the success and impact of the Parent and Youth Ambassador Program, including increased access to programs and resources in the community, which is tracked through monthly data reporting. But there are also less tangible ways that we gauge our impact on our communities. And one of the most significant indicators is what we inspire in others to do. As we connect with families and individuals, linking them with resources and helping them navigate social systems, they're inspired to and empowered to rise above their circumstances. As was earlier stated, we don't necessarily do the work for the families. We work alongside them, and we give them the skills to continue even if we aren't there anymore, or just to be able to check in. And we go into more of a supportive role than actually doing the legwork for them, and just letting them know that they're not by themselves, which again, with our lived experience, we know that that was a huge factor in building our resiliency with overcoming some of our circumstances. And then when we build partnerships with other agencies and organizations to create collaborative networks of support for the communities that we serve, we inspire each other as nonprofits and just those who have a heart for service in like our problem solving, which leads to innovative solutions for all. And then in both relationships, we inspire trust and community cohesion, which was a huge component in those listening sessions, was that the community had kind of expressed an overwhelming sense of distrust when it comes to navigating certain social systems and accessing resources. You know, there was kind of a down spirit about it. And so in those collaborative relationships that we are building as parent and youth ambassadors, we are inspiring that, a sense of community once again. Also, parent and youth ambassadors are the bridges from ideas to action. A great example of PYAs, as Marcy said, that's the short term for parent youth ambassadors, not pretty young assistants. Just for those of you who are Michael Jackson fans. But a great example of us supporting and inspiring action within our service communities is a recent trip to the Capitol, where our PYA team joined the Greater Cincinnati United Way to advocate for an increase in funding to expand the 211 program to all Ohio counties. Some of us may not be aware that Ohio is only one of 3 states in the entire nation that does not have a statewide 211 program, which is very, very big for our communities, especially our rural communities, who could very much benefit from having those connective services. And again, we went and joined them, and during that time, the 211 team actually had some mishaps, and they had a few things occur in which they were a little delayed coming to the legislators. But thankfully, we were there on time and were able to fill in. As a matter of fact, here is what Amy Story, the 211 call center director, had to say about our participation in their advocacy day. Wanted to extend a personal thanks for sending your PYAs to Columbus for 211 Advocacy Day yesterday. You likely heard, but a flat tire left most of us stranded on I-71 and late to the initial meeting scheduled with legislators. Your team stepped in to share the importance of Ohio 211 brings to communities across the state. We could not have done yesterday without your team and others that showed up when the bus folks could not. Again, thank you. So just highlighting that. And as the Parent and Youth Ambassador Program matures, The way we inspire our communities to increase equal access to resources and better quality of life will continue to be the highest indicator of our positive impact on the world around us and the good work we do. And of course, as parent and youth ambassadors, we have a number of tools ourselves to keep us influenced and to help us to facilitate our change from the ground up. One of our most impactful ways that we stay connected to our families and also keep ourselves integrated in having those experiences is through parent cafes and our support groups, which I'm going to go ahead now and let Sarah have a little time and tell you guys about how we do our parent cafes.
Thank you, Ryan. It's kind of hard to follow her energy. She brings the energy. I love it. So again, I'm Sarah Puskis. I'm Parent Youth Ambassador at Child Care Resource Center in Lorain. And I'm really excited to share more about parent cafes. And then I'm kind of going to segue into some success stories, which is really a perfect segue for me because part of my success story as a parent and in this role started with parent cafes. So that was my introduction to this line of work. I became a parent during COVID for the first time, which was definitely a huge adjustment. I often say the world was turned upside down and having a kid turns your world upside down. So I didn't know which direction I was headed. Struggled with some postpartum depression, especially due to the isolation during COVID quarantine. So once those restrictions lifted and I was able to kind of get out, I was looking to utilize the free resources available to families in the community. And I attended a parent cafe facilitated by Child Care Resource Center, where I'm now employed. And so I got to attend one with my son and really benefited from that. It got me connected in the community. I went on to be a parent host for one, which I'll explain what that is for those who aren't familiar. And then now I get to facilitate them. And so I've really been on every side of them in every role and seen the good that they've done for countless families as well as my own. And again, that is what has led me to parent advocacy work. And so kind of going back to what parent cafes are, I know Marcy shared about her support groups. And so all the parent and youth ambassadors are facilitating some form of support group in their area. So parent cafes are just one form of those. And so we are all following the Strengthening Ohio's model. And so I know a lot of people on this call probably are familiar. So some of this might be repetitive, but for those of you who aren't, you'll walk away from this knowing what a parent cafe is. And I hope that you definitely, if you ever see one in your area, we always encourage anyone to attend, whether you're a parent or not, or work with parents. It's a good experience. It's a good way to get connected with families. But we also have like a no wrong door policy. We welcome everyone to these events. So with that, what parent cafes are, like I said, they're kind of like a support group. The model we follow is typically 3 sessions. And these are what makes these different from other support groups is they are really designed by parents and for parents, and they're meant to be really parent-led and peer-to-peer. So that is where those parent hosts come into play. So we as the ambassadors facilitate the cafes, and then parent hosts are parents from the community that maybe have connections or more comfortable and really hosts. They are the table leads. They lead the small group discussions. And so every cafe is a little different. Some have questions determined ahead of time, but they do all kind of follow are based on the protective factors, which we'll get into that in the next slide. But so the parent host facilitates the conversation based off those protective factors. And it's really a great leadership opportunity for parents too. Again, that is kind of part of my success story. I was a stay-at-home parent. So when I went to parent hosts, that was stepping out of my comfort zone. But again, it got me connected. It really filled my cup to help other parents. So we're always trying. That's another way we help support parents and provide those leadership opportunities and room for personal growth. But just some of the perks of the parent cafes and why families should attend. There is free childcare included, a light meal provided, and then we do gift card giveaways, typically a grocery store, some kind of practical need. And really, that is just meant to eliminate some of those barriers for parents to attend. Can't find childcare for the kids. Bring them with you. We'll watch them. We'll feed you both. So we're eliminating some of those barriers, making it easier for them to build that community. So just moving on to the next slide, getting more into the structure of those cafes. As I mentioned, they are based on the protective factors. And at the heart, they really are meant to be a child abuse and neglect preventative measures. So very on topic with this one. But so those 5 protective factors, again, a lot of you are probably familiar, but those are parental resilience. So really focusing on that self-care piece and how you can't pour from an empty cup. We do, but it's much easier to do so with it full. To relationships and social connections and how important those are. Really, the Parent Cafe is a perfect example of those and how they can benefit you and your children. Knowledge of parenting and child development. So really, that covers a wide range of things. But another thing to point out about cafes that's nice is we can kind of niche these down and do different topics. So we have dad cafes, grandparent cafes. Right now I'm doing a series of families specifically with special needs. So the conversations that might be had at some look different than others. Every cafe takes on a life of its own. So when it comes to the knowledge of parenting and child development, we can really hone in on some specific topics that families might be dealing with. So if it's, difficult behaviors, things like that, but we can kind of hone in there. So moving on with those protective factors, concrete supports in times of need. So again, a lot of our organizations, our partner organizations, getting them connected with those, and then also helping them navigate them. Like we said, there's almost an overwhelming amount of support out there. So helping them kind of dial in what's best for their family. And then the last one is communication. So social and emotional competence of children. And that looks different family to family, which will move us to our next slide, which is about the agreements of the cafe. And this is really what kind of creates this safe space for families to open up and share. And so, like I said, every family looks different. Every child within a family looks different. So really, the big thing with cafes we stress is that we're speaking from our own experiences. And one way to do that is using those I and we statements. But that's just, we're not telling anybody how they should parent, where you can speak from what works for us and people can draw from that what they'd like. So that's kind of the big first agreement. We listen attentively. We're not interrupting. I always let people know this isn't school. You don't have to, we're all adults. You don't have to ask, just excuse yourself, take a phone call, go to the bathroom, whatever you need to do. But if you're here, let's be present. Let's listen attentively because we'll want people to do the same for us if we're sharing. No judgments, of course, positive or negatives. This is a safe space, judgment-free zone. We're not there to give advice, as I mentioned. And sometimes that one strikes people a little weird, but that's just going back to the not telling people how to parent. We're sharing from our own experiences. Confidentiality, of course, this is huge. We always say it's like Vegas. What happens in the cafes stays at the cafes, especially in these smaller communities. Where everybody knows everybody, this is a safe space to share where you don't have to worry about people talking about it in drop off line. And then again, the full presence. We want people to be there and really get the most out of this time. Their cafes are typically anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours. And so it goes by quick, especially by the time we typically do like an icebreaker activity. We let everybody eat and then we send the kids off and do our childcare and then the small group discussions. And the biggest piece of feedback we hear is people really love those small group discussions and want more of that. Because by the time the cafe is open, sometimes it takes them a while to warm up, but by the time the cafe is open, parents are lingering. You can tell they don't want to leave, but we've got a good thing going, and we like to build on that momentum. So our agency in particular, when we do cafes, we like to partner with local organizations. And that's just a form of outreach. And it's also, we are trying to go where the families already are, meet them where they're at. So, local organizations like churches, schools, and scheduling at a time that's convenient for them, whether that's at school drop off or pickup. But really, these cafes, like I said, can take on a life of their own and they're meant to be personalized for the families you're serving. So it's what they need at that time. But yeah, and so I think I kind of covered everything when it comes to cafes. There's a lot, and I'm very passionate about them. A big advocate for those. But just want to share, kind of segueing into success stories, a success story that I've had with a family at a parent cafe in particular. So as I said, there's those 3 sessions, and typically, the groups of people, some of them already know each other, some of them nobody knows each other. So we do have to break that ice. And so the first session might be more the icebreaker, but by that 3rd session, it's really cool to see the connections and relationships formed. So this cafe series in particular, I had a mom who was more quiet, more reserved. She had a developmental delay of her own. So she didn't speak up too often, but she would show up early and offer to help set up. She'd hang out after and offer to help clean up. And so by that third cafe in the series, she hung back after and she kind of opened up to me and she asked if she could talk to me course. And so I sit down with her and she expresses how her and her boyfriend are having some co-parenting issues, just dealing with disobedience in his son and just being on the same page with that. And so I had actually just happened to finish in my training for this role. My lights are flickering a little. Hopefully you guys don't lose me. Um, the Triple P parenting online parenting course. And so this course in particular is a self-paced. And so I referred her to this, but better yet, since we were in person, I sat down with her, pulled up my computer. I said, look, you just go right here, make an account. You watch the videos. And then I said, better yet, if dad doesn't want to listen to it, because sometimes they're more reluctant. So just play it out loud nearby him, and maybe he'll absorb some of it because I that's what I happen to do in my household. And I was listening to it, and my boyfriend was sitting by, and boyfriend at the time, fiance now, and he kind of started agreeing. He goes, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." And so I'm like, "Oh, he's absorbing this knowledge. Good." So that's always my little tip I give. So, anyways, long story short, this story. When I got back to the office that day, I shared with them how I was excited and felt like I really connected with this mom and was hopeful that it would help her. I have even heard that. And I was looking forward to following up with her. And she's like, well, make sure you track that. That's a referral. And I was like, oh, it just felt like a conversation with another mom. And she was like, that is why this work is so important. That is why this role in particular is so important. We have that lived experience. We're able to relate. We're able to connect in a very casual, laid back way that the families feel comfortable with it. But yeah, I know I probably took more time than I should, but I am going to pass it back to Marcy to share a little bit more about some success stories that we've had with families.
Thanks, Sarah. I just want to share. I want to share one from every SDA that we have, but I know we don't have time for that. So I will share about one of the ones I had. I had a call come in. A single woman. She was really far behind in her rent, so she was looking for rental assistance. She was behind 6 months, which is highly unusual because usually landlords don't let you go that long without paying. But she was on her third disability denial appeal. And so her landlord had let her live for free in hopes that she would get that approved and then get that payout. Um, a lot of the rental assistance programs are out of funding anyhow, but even if they aren't, usually have to have a child in the house. So she didn't know what to do, and her landlord was fed up letting her live for free. So I talked to someone at Ohio Means Jobs, and because we kind of I talked it through with the client, and basically she had to start working somehow a little bit. So she ended up getting connected with Ohio Means Jobs, and she found a part-time job. And then I just talked to her landlord with her, and it helped her landlord. Having me on the phone really helped her landlord feel secure in the knowledge that she was actually reaching out for help and trying to get a solution. So because a lot of people will call their landlord and they have stories. People have their own reasons, stories why they can't pay rent. And I think most landlords, if they've been a landlord for a long time, they've heard many different stories, so they have a hard time believing people. So the landlord ended up being gracious that I called with her, and she allowed her to do some work on their place in order to kick off some of that back rent. So sometimes the people who call for me just need someone who would take the time to listen without judging them. And she was just so grateful. She said I was the first person she had talked to at an agency that treated her like a human being, which we all hear that a lot. A lot of the parent youth ambassadors hear things like that. It's like one of the biggest parts of our job is just that we have our own lived experience with social service systems. My colleague at the Toledo YWCA, she always says, "I am you, we are you," like to people that call in for us. It gives us a different perspective when working with families. We've been in their shoes before. We know how it feels to be condescended to look down on, and we really try to use our experiences to connect and support families in a compassionate way. And I love telling people that because that's what, like Sarah said, that's what fills our cup. Hearing families say like, thank you so much, you just talked to me like a normal human being. And to us, we're just talking, like we all talkers, and like it's so simple, it comes off simple to us just to talk and support people. But it does mean something to have someone in your corner. And I think that's really where like the parent youth ambassadors shine, is just being an ally to the people that we help and being in their corner and listening to them. With that, I'll pass it to Wright.
So yeah, just piggybacking off of what Sarah and Marcy already kind of stated, is that for me, if I'm gonna culminate our success stories, that is the success, is being able to offer that support and knowing that we are those, those people who are there, who know what you're going through, who have sat on the phone for hours before, who have heard those no's. And I'm a Gemini. So for me, I'm going to see the success even in the failures. Um, I had a situation with a family where we couldn't come to a resolution. We couldn't find a resource that addressed their family's needs directly. And we were just kind of left still in the same place that the family started at, in terms of, again, I talked about the tangible and untangible. Well, in the physical world, nothing really changed about the circumstances. I got the same response that the family got, even going as high as the state level. However, the success that I had in that was in hearing that mother tell me that even though we came, first of all, in knowing that, in seeing me go through the steps and me go through and try to support her in that way and still coming up with the same answer, gave her the confidence that she truly had done all that she could do in order to address this situation. And then secondly, that she felt supported. She told me that, at the beginning, when we first initiated, when she first reached out for support, the bricks were here. And even after but now that, even though we had gone through the process and the barrier was still there, the pressure of the situation was now here. And that was very changing. And that to me is a success that we have to walk away with as well, because sometimes we're not going to slay the dragon. And in our work, we talk about having the hero spirit in all of us and not feeling defeated when we can't defeat the monster. But sometimes if we can just help the villagers fortify the walls, that's enough for us, and to help them feel supported and know that they aren't in this battle by themselves. And that in itself is an overarching success that we all share, no matter where we are, no matter what community that we're serving. As long as, when people think of the Parent and Youth Ambassador program, they think of concrete support. They think of someone who's going to be there in those late times, in those crisis situations. And we're going to see those storms and we're going to ride it out with them. And like we said, we're real people helping real families thrive and shine. And that's our greatest success. So at this time, that pretty much concludes our presentation. And we're going to go ahead and open it up for any questions for the three of us that anyone may have. If you want to know how we connect, anything you want to enter into the chat, or if you want to come off mute, maybe, I think at this time, Nicole, I'm not sure if they wanted to do that. They're able to do that as well. And we're open for any questions.
I know one of the biggest ones, just from monitoring the chat, is that people want to know, how to get in touch. The marketing materials for us are individual flyers. So I will say, so each ambassador or team of ambassadors, each service delivery area has their own marketing materials and strategies. And we all have flyers, particularly. So I know we can make those available afterwards. And then I know someone else asked about just knowing when the cafes are coming up in the area. And so I responded in the chat, but I just wanted to say it out for anybody who's not monitoring that. For the parent cafes, I would just encourage you to get in touch with your ambassador or ambassadors in whatever areas you serve. And I know we would be happy to pass that information along as soon as we have those scheduled to help, recruit families in the area to attend.
Now, answering that question about concrete support, What we mean in that, as Melissa said earlier, there are certain things that we do not do at this time. Possibly as the program matures, we may have some things as in terms of possibly having a fund where we can directly address some crisis needs for communities as the program matures. But currently at this time, the parent and youth ambassadors focus on linkage. So what we do is we already, like Marcy stated, we form connections with existing organizations and community programs that have those supports for families. So in terms of financial supports, we would link a family with an ongoing organization that already has financial backings that can address the needs of that family. We do the research in our communities to know, what organizations like even have the funds available at that time, because sometimes that's even the issue.
We try to cut out the red tape by, because I know a lot of places are out of funding at different times. So before we don't just send a family to, the same place that they could Google to go to if we know they're out of funds. We will try to narrow it down, try to find a creative solution to their needs. But we don't have direct money that we can draw from. I will say that we haven't talked about Care Portal. We do. It's not in all of our
I was
counties.
gonna mention that, like, we have connections with certain resources like
Yeah.
Care Portal, and then 211 also has some connective services, and they are developing a similar database. Absolutely. We I know that with 4C, my particular CCR&R, we do have a direct relationship with Ohio Can, and that is one of the departments that I do refer my adoptive and kinship families to. My success story in which I was speaking about, the family that I helped where we couldn't necessarily come to a resolution, that was one of the agencies that was very, very instrumental in getting if nothing else, the information and the knowledge that family needed. So there are, like we said, those relationships with our partnering organizations are what really, really help to give us the foundation we need to facilitate our work, and having those one-on-one connections with someone within the org. So yes, we definitely, I know, like I said, here at 4C, we definitely have a direct connect with Ohio Can that has been instrumental in helping me to facilitate my work.
Thank you, Ryan. I just wanted, not really a question, but maybe so a comment. Ohio Can was able to present to you all back when you were first garnering some traction. And Melissa, I got an email coming your way because I got all type of ideas now, but just really excited that you guys have launched and are able to be such a resource for all families navigating the systems. And so happy to have you all, and you'll be definitely hearing more from us on ways that I think we can partner and hopefully have your presence on some of our regional advisory councils as well. So thank you all for this informational setting. Good way to kick off this month.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for allowing us to come and share about our work that we feel very passionate about. Hopefully you feel touched and feel moved in what we're really trying to provide for families moving forward. You can see here on the slide our contact information. I know a lot of folks are very interested in direct contact for Parent Youth Ambassadors. We will send that information to the trust fund to get out to all those participants, so you have that direct contact information for that ambassador in your specific area. So Delaware County, you will know specifically who you need to reach into for that support. So with that, thank you. And thank you, Ryan, Sarah, and Marcy for being here with me today. You guys you're real gems. Have a great day, everyone.